What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and joining me tonight, it's Chris, the stats man Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey, I got a stat. All right, so the Toronto-Philadelphia matchup is the first round Eastern Conference matchup to go beyond 5 games in the last 4 years.
Whoa, that's a good stat.
So every other matchup had only gone 4 or 5 games. Funny enough, Boston swept Brooklyn, and last year Brooklyn beat Boston 4-1. So nice zigzag revenge there.
Classic revenge. Also getting minutes tonight, it's the lawn boss, Joey McCroskey. Get that, Joe.
It's summertime. Welcome to the off season.
Welcome to the off season. We got a lot to talk about. And making us some sick beats soon to come. It is the Doughboy, Adam the Professional Bruns. I'd love tonight, Adam.
They're hip hopping.
Hip hopping. Now we got one little thing.
Can't stop, won't stop.
So we forgot to start our audacities.
No.
Oh.
So the question is, do we just want to use the audio from the podcast here or redo the whole thing?
Or should we just launch audacities right now?
Yeah, let's launch
Just
our
have that.
audacities. I'm ready to go.
I can gel them together.
Yeah.
Well, no, we can. Yeah.
That'll work. So
All
let's
right,
launch
we
on
good?
Audacity.
Ready? 3.
Guys, we're not ready. It's opening.
It's still mine's still opening.
We were just so
Okay.
excited to start talking. We just
I know. We started early. I said, let's just go. And then I forgot.
the professional.
That's on me. That was
you
on
see
me.
the behind
He
the
usually does it.
scenes.
No, as soon as we put the timer on, I'm like, no, because we've been in the habit of not doing it because the last box out things. Let me know when you guys are ready. So.
Okay,
I'm
I'm ready.
ready.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, record.
There we
Alright.
go.
All right, perfect.
Now we're
Well,
let's
let's
get-
get
Fresh beats here.
fresh beats. Well, if you are listening to us on YouTube or live, you got to hear some behind the scenes stuff. So hopefully that can get patched up. Well, tonight we got a lot on the plate. We got the Bulls Sports Mortem. I'll give you a nice spot. Bulls Post Mortem. Bulls wrap up show. Joey's got a lot of Bulls content for us. He had a good time putting it together. And we're also going to go ahead and look forward at the second round matchups that we know, which is pretty much the Eastern Conference. As Chris pointed out, no Eastern Conference first round matchup has gone past 5 games in 4 years or something. So
And the Philadelphia is about to wrap this up, so we can assume them.
yeah, pretty wild. So all right, well let's jump right into it. Joey, you got our Bulls wrap up. What did you do? What'd you have prepared for us?
All right, so I did a bottom 10 and a top 10. Just like moments, feelings, thoughts, memories, or just things that I could think of
Joey was
from
just
the
getting it
entire
out.
season. I ignored the playoffs since we've talked about them in our little snippet shows
That's
that we've
good.
done. Go check out YouTube for our snippet shows. And
Yes.
yeah, so these are in no specific order. They were off the top of my head. Some of them had a little bit of research in them. Other of them are just straight fan thoughts.
Sicko mode.
Just straight sicko mode. All right, so we're just gonna rip through them and then we'll go back through and we can do. What
This is
we wanna
your
do.
bottom 10 you're starting with, right?
This is bottom 10. We're gonna end on a high note because we gotta
Yes,
have
gotta
some
end
positivity here.
positively.
All right, so number 1, bottom 10, Zach's performance in the 3-point contest at the All-Star game.
All right.
Number 2, the plague of injuries all season, right? Zach, Lonzo, Caruso, and P. Will. That was pretty straightforward. Number 3, Bulls bench scoring, ranked 29th in the NBA in the regular season at 26.7 points per game. Number 4, not winning a game against the top 3 team in either conference all season.
That feels like should be number 1, but
They're not in any
they're not-
specific order.
they're not
Oh,
in
no,
any
okay.
order.
All right.
Number 5, Billy Donovan's lack of adjustments throughout the season,
Oh,
mostly
all right.
around defensive schemes and switching. And once Lonzo went down, inability to get them to play faster, right? No fast break, real semblance in their game. Number 6, Vooch regressing, 17.6 points per game this season, 31% from 3, and all of that was overshadowed by his defensive liability, I think, and it just made his offense not really even worth it. Number 7, Zach's lack of aggressiveness. Year over year, he was down 1 2-point attempt less per game, 2 3-point attempts per game, and 3 points per game in reduction. So it seems minuscule in a small right, in a per game basis, but you extrapolate that across a whole season and you're missing, 63 point attempts, 32 point attempts from him throughout the season. So that's a pretty big number. Number 8, Kobe White's lack of explosiveness off the bench. I think, before the season started, we kind of talked about his consistency to need to score, 10 to 15 a game. I think you probably have a much better record in the regular season if we've got that on a consistent basis. Number 9, lack of effective size. So not just overall size, because they do have a little bit of height, but it was not effective against the towering giants, the big men of the East. And then number 10, and I think this actually would probably have been number 1, losing to the Pacers by 32 points, and then following that up 2 nights later by losing to the Rockets by 5 points. And at that point, the Rockets had won 1 game all season.
Whoa.
That was a rough moment. That was the start
Well,
when they rattled off like 6 games in a row or something, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was in around Thanksgiving time. So I think the Rockets had 1 or 2 wins. It was real low. The Bulls were definitely one of their first victims before they went on that little run. And that is the bottom 10 that I.
That is the bottom 10. Wow, that's a rough 10. Chris, any initial thoughts jump out to you on
a couple of
his
themes?
Yeah.
Obviously, Zach LaVine and Kobe White feel like, and Vucevic were like kind of the downers for the year. I think I can admit that Kobe White was underwhelming. He looked okay yesterday. He got 17. Kept throwing it up. But he wasn't playing. He doesn't right. He just doesn't look like explode. Like you watch guys like Devontae Graham or like these little tiny scrappy guards, and they feel like they move quicker. They get the ball up, and it just snaps the bottom of the net. I never see it with Kobe White, and I don't know if I ever will. So yeah, I'm right there with Joey now with the Kobe White train. But also Zach LaVine. I thought it was hilarious. You put the 3-point contest was the first thing you said. Like, is this ranked? But it's like, okay, it's just 1 of the 10. Which
was pretty sad. It was pretty sad.
That kind of sums up Zach LaVine's season in a way. It was kind of a, you look at the numbers, he's fine, but it was kind of disappointing to see him not take an extra step.
Yeah, no, I definitely have. Zach would be on my list of just, I don't know about, I don't know. Disappointing is probably the right word. Just I thought maybe he would take a step.
I mean, he was an all-star too. Like,
he played good, but I don't know. I just thought he was going to be a little bit better than he was. He was a little passive. But I think the thing that really stuck out to me when you said it, probably my number 1 personally would be the rash of injuries. I think I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts this week, just kind of talking about the Bulls wrapping up and everything, and kind of winding down myself and kind of coming to terms with this season and what could have been, what should have been, and all that stuff. And I think I'm a little more okay with what happened because of all the injuries, particularly Lonzo Ball and Caruso being out. Like those guys were the heart of the defense essentially early in the season when they were playing pretty solid defense. Lonzo, I think he only played like 35 games or
35 games, yeah.
So I mean, that's obviously got to change next year if we want to be better. But you know what? If all those guys are healthy all season, or at least healthy going into the playoffs, I think it's a much different outcome than what we got. And I think we could have been potentially a higher seed this season.
Would the Bulls be considered a top 4 team if Lonzo and everyone was, still healthy? People got to develop. People is shooting 42% from 3
this year. I think this year they would have ended up at well. I mean, that Boston run was still coming, but
they had a pretty good cushion though.
Yeah.
Before Lonzo went down, and I think what kind of was weird is like he went down and they didn't fall right away, right? They made it to the All-Star break and they came out of there kind of okay, and then it just kind of caught up to him once the whole Grayson Allen Caruso thing happened. It just kind of exasperated it even more. You had no defenders right on the perimeter, and I think that's really what makes it seem like there was so much more potential, because they didn't slip right away when Lonzo went down, right? It wasn't an immediate fall, and it was kind of like, okay, they can kind of survive this. And there was that hope he was coming back in 6 to 8 weeks, and then it just got longer and longer and longer, and the longer it went, the worse it was.
And it really does change this team, both those guys in particular, because if Lonzo is playing, he's starting and Caruso's coming off the bench.
Right.
Even when Caruso's back, he can run the point for you and stuff, and he's a better option than Kobe or Io, at least in the starting lineup. but having him as your number one guy off the bench versus Kobe or Io, and then having Kobe and Io as your third, fourth options off the bench, that now starts to be like, all right, that's kind of juicy.
Yeah,
It makes a difference.
It definitely makes a difference, and particularly with the runouts, we saw how fast this team played. Like you were saying, Joey, kind of going to Billy Donovan there, where he couldn't figure out how to pick that pace back up. But early in the season, Lonzo kicking that ball 75 feet up and getting these run out plays and layups and easy buckets, getting stuff in transition. That was really fun. Shy Slamma Jamma, as Stacey King likes to say, kind of disappeared towards the end of the season, but in the beginning of the season, they were running up and down, and it was really fun. So that's definitely interesting. And then you did have that one particular loss against the Pacers.
Yeah.
As a difficult loss. I'm trying to remember if there was any other losses that stuck out with me or stuck out to me.
Every one against the top three teams that was greater than 20 points, because there were a lot of them.
That's true. I would say the Milwaukee losses kind of, because I was jacked up for those games. I remember, especially early in the season. I was like, all right, here we go, Milwaukee with the defending champs.
To me, it was Miami because I felt like they could have won a couple of those.
Yeah. Those are good points. Man, what a crazy up and down season here. So, all right, well, let's go into your.
One more. I want to talk about one thing. Do you guys know what today is?
Yes, I don't want to talk about it.
We have to talk about it.
We don't need to talk about it.
It's the 10th anniversary of Derrick
Rose.
Oh,
we don't need to come on.
We don't need to talk about it.
There's what? Do you guys know? There's one player that was on this. That was in that game. That was on the
Nikola
opposing team.
Vucevic.
He was a rookie.
Yes, he was
that year, and he didn't play at all in the game. But he mentioned that he remembered it. I think he mentioned this in his post game.
Wait, he was for Philly,
right?
Yeah, he was.
He was drafted by Philly. And he went to Orlando his second season. Yeah,
I did not know that. Well,
and then I was digging into it more. And what made me more sad is the fact that the Sixers that next round took Boston to 7 games, and then so it's like, wait, if the Bulls had a healthy Derrick Rose, they easily would have beaten Boston. We had Miami's number that year. It got me all sad all over again. So
as discussed at length in our conversations.
Well, as let's talk about the bottom 10, I just felt like bringing that up because
you feel like really just kicking him right in the
sadness,
right in the teeth.
But Nikola, man, that's kind of
kind of weird. That's kind of weird and crazy. I'll take that.
And Drew Holiday was on the Philly, obviously. Anyways.
Damn. All right.
Booster.
Well, let's spin into some positivity here, Joey. You give us your top 10 highlights, the best moments.
All right. Again, no specific order. I have one fun one in here that's not like based on anything, just kind of fun, but the rest of them are solid, I think. All right. Number 1, DeMar's 8-game stretch, scoring 30+ points on 50% shooting.
Yes.
Averaged 38.4 in that run on 61.9% shooting. That was
an MVP level run.
Definite high point. Number 2, the creation of Stacey King shouting cookies. Anytime Alex Caruso got steals, and then just kind of I don't know. It's a fun thing. It's a great sweatshirt. I kind of want one that has the Cookie Monster on it, shouting cookies. I kind of want to get one.
I do like that.
Number 3, the ascension of Io. So I don't think anybody would have thought that their second round pick would have ended up playing 77 games, 27.4 minutes per game. Granted, injuries and COVID and all that stuff, but he was serviceable in his time.
Yeah, very solid.
Gives you good hope. Averaged 8.8 points a game, 3.3 assists, 2.8 rebounds, 52% from the floor. So that is very good. Number 4, back-to-back buzzer beaters from DeMar on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Man, I think that was maybe the highest point, I think, for all of us, because it was like,
that was the peak
right around the holidays.
It might have been, yeah.
They were on a roll. It was like they can't do anything wrong. That might have been it. Number 5, 2 All-Stars. That was pretty exciting.
Legit All-Stars, yeah.
2 legit All-Stars. And DeMar ended up number 2 in total scoring this season. Zach ended up number 12 in total scoring. 5 points better than Steph Curry. As
you like to point out.
Who was number 1 in total scoring?
Trae Young.
Yeah.
Trae Young was number 1.
That's something that's right there. Something that says garbage.
Total scoring.
But but Joel Embiid got the score. So it should be total points, anyways.
Number 6, Bulls vs. Celtics on November 1st. So very early on in the season, they outscored Boston 39-11 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
set the NBA record for being down and whatever the time was in the third, and ended up winning by 14. So that was a pretty good moment. Number 7, going 3-2 on the quote unquote circus trip with back-to-back wins in Los Angeles.
I remember that. Yeah,
Especially after they started that trip with a blowout loss to Golden State. So they lost by like 40 to Golden, or I think it was 40 something to Golden State, and then came back and got the 2 wins in LA, and then went in Denver and won, and then ended up losing in Portland. But pretty good moment for them. Number 8, the new signings delivering and making immediate impact. So DeMar, Lonzo, and Caruso all right away really made impacts. And there were some serious question marks around DeMar and Lonzo. I think Lonzo's maybe a little bit more confident just based on his contract and kind of the position he was playing. DeMar was the kind of question mark, but hey.
I think Lonzo's reasoning, I think why we're suspect on him is because of his lack of playing. And that kind of came in fruition this year, right? It wasn't so much his skills, just the fact can he actually play more than 45 games, and
no,
he couldn't.
That is a no.
Yeah.
Number 9. This actually might be my favorite one. Close game success.
Yeah.
This season. So in games decided within a 5-point window, they were 13-9 this season.
That's not bad.
Last season they were 5-13 for context.
Okay.
So
interesting.
That was a thing that kind of always, whenever they were in a close game, the past couple seasons, it was like, oh, they're going to find a way to lose this. And this season they found a way to win more than they lost. So
King of the fourth, man.
That made me feel good. And the number 10, and I stunk this one in there because last year I was real down on the turnovers. Last year they were 27th in the NBA at 15.8 turnovers per game. This season they were 9th at 12.8, so they reduced their turnovers by 3, which is pretty impressive considering all the injuries that they had, and that they were running out Io, who was a rookie, and they didn't have their starting point guard for 50 games of the season. So that is my top 10.
Well done. I like those. Chris, anything jump out
That's
to you?
those are happy moments. I thought the DeMar game winners, that was peak performance. Yes. And you mentioned his stretch of 38 points and whatever crazy other numbers are there.
50% shooting, 8 games in a row.
So that was the best. I think what really is nice is that going into this offseason, DeMar's talking about him and Patrick Williams are being doing 40 workouts together out in California. And that's exactly, I think, the best reason why they signed DeMar DeRozan is to help train the young guys. And people have shown some promise. So there's promising things to come, and we'll see in the offseason. I don't think they're going to do too much, but there's a lot of positive, and we can just get healthy. I think we can maybe be a top 4 team next year. I don't know. Let's talk about that later.
We'll see. I definitely agree. The DeMar stuff was a highlight. That run was a monster run. I remember that. That was like he's carrying us until Zach comes back. We'll be okay. The back-to-back game winners was something special. That was games, like you said, Joey, we would normally lose in the past to win those games. And that was early, fairly early on in the season before the new year, or right at the new year. So that was still when we were kind of like, what's this all going to be? And I very specifically remember that, like, all right, this is what we need. This could be something special, I believe is what I texted you guys. But the one thing that you said that really kind of stuck out to me and I remember was the circus trip. Because I do remember that. That was very early on in the season, right? That had to be early December or something like that, maybe.
Yep.
But that was still when it was like, all right, what is this going to be? And I remember those 2 wins over LA. Now, the one against the Lakers doesn't look so good at the end of the season. But at the time, this is a potential finals team, and beating them back-to-back with the Clippers, who was also, Kawhi is out, but a feisty team. I think Paul George was playing at the time still, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it wasn't like they were, scrubs at the time, and thinking like, all right, here we go. This back-to-back wins in LA. That's huge. And that was getting me real excited for that. The only thing I might add to the list, and if you guys remember,
add it top 10.
Add a top 10. And this may seem dumb, but this is a moment I remember this moment. But they went 4-0 in the preseason, right?
They did.
I don't know why, but like, again, yes, roll your eyes, Chris. It's preseason. I know exactly what I'm saying. But that 4-0 start in preseason, and they were like really good. I remember because I went to work the next day after they went 4-0, and I was talking to my buddy at work who also watched the Bulls, and I was like, I think this is going to be a fun season. I think they're good, man. And he was saying the same thing. We're both getting excited. We're two very pessimistic Bulls fans. So for us to kind of be like tentatively excited was it was fun.
The hype was real.
The hype
You
was
know,
real,
yeah.
man.
You know, it's fine. We had different expectations going into the season. We were hoping they'd be good, but we weren't totally sure. We were
Yeah.
on that side. But I feel like now that we're at the end of the season, we're a little bummed that they didn't do even better.
Yeah.
Even though they totally exceeded
They hit, yeah,
expectations.
they hit.
Yeah.
I would say that they hit expectations. That's what actually what I would say. I would say they hit
They hit.
expectations. It just feels like a bummer because we had some really high highs this year, and then
They hit because they
we
went
ended,
higher,
Right.
and then
they
they
were-
ended. Yeah, so it's
they
kinda
ended
like
so
yeah.
low.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you would have flipped the season around,
Yeah.
like playoff ending the same way it did, but if they had their first like 2 months, November, December, half of January, and they had that in like February, March, and April,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd
that's true.
be
You're right.
kind of on the other side of this. We'd be like, man, they got a lot of momentum here. Like everything's looking good. Like, but it's because they got us so high early, and then they just really,
Yeah, and let's say the games against Milwaukee were closer, but they still lost in 5. Like that would be like a
Yeah.
best case scenario. I think you said flip the season around. Actually, one negative I would add. We probably passed the negative thing. I would add
we got to
not
think
doing.
another positive then because we can't end.
Yeah, you can't end on negative.
That's
Well, no,
bad.
I got another idea to end the segment, but the one negative I would add is maybe not doing something at the deadline.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would have. I don't think that would have changed the season outcome or anything, but I think me and you, Joey, were talking before Chris and Adam were hopped on, but I think trading Kobe would have been a good move at the deadline. Whether or not you got a good piece or specifically, I just think
I
his
don't know.
stock
Who's
is
the
not going
guy?
to. I mean, I don't know what we'd have to go back and see what the moves were at the time. Maybe for another shooter, But I just think like the stock is now low, and you're gonna have to build it back up before making a move for Kobe.
Yeah.
And P will,
Yeah.
and and it's not that necessarily that I don't think those guys can't develop into something for us. And like I said, kind of at the beginning, once we get Caruso and Lonzo back, I think they're going to fall into roles that are more suited for them. Yeah.
But
But
we still got Kobe and Io for another year on their current contract, so it kind of makes sense to still use them unless you get a favorable trade deal.
Yeah.
Just keep them
and
around.
you'd have to see what was out there, and and we don't know what was all available. But like hey, was Buddy Hield available? Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Another
the
3-point
contract
shooter.
there too is
Yeah. But that was it. That's kind of one thing that would have been negative for me.
the biggest
right.
negative is just
Go
the
ahead.
injuries, man.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, that's the
Lonzo
biggest.
being out for as long as he was, Caruso having a freak injury like that.
So I
what
guess-
if sucks with that. Anyways,
We'll start with a couple of questions, and I think they brought this up on No Dunks for sure, and I wanted to hear what you guys thought. What are the chances that we have a Knicks type
No.
season next year? No?
no,
It's a resounding, it's a quick no from you, Chris.
Bill, I was literally just thinking that too, like
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. And Billy Donovan did not coach the way Tom Thibodeau coaches, right? Like the guys don't
Yeah.
play an insane amount of minutes. They weren't. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe that at all.
Okay, because I would say like I'm a little worried about that happening, but not because of the Bulls necessarily, because of other teams getting better. That would be my concern. But I also am with you, Chris. I'm pretty okay with it. Joey, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it's a no. I think the Knicks' success was more based around one guy solely. And when that one guy didn't deliver, Julius Randle, it kind of all fell apart from there. When the Bulls were rolling in the beginning of the season, like it wasn't just the DeMar show. Like DeMar kind of came on when Zach went down with COVID and then his first bout with his knee injury. So when you got that 8-game stretch from him. But at the beginning of the season, I mean, they were all kind of firing on all cylinders. Like if you look at the game logs for like everybody side by side, the point totals were high. I mean, Zach and DeMar were putting up 20 and 30 a game like it was no problem. There were a handful of stretches where it was 30 for each of them. I think they even might have set like a franchise record for most 30-point games together in a season. So I think like there's enough positivity or enough scoring on the team that they're not going to take such a step back. I hear what you're saying though about the rest of the league or rest of the conference getting better. But I still think the Bulls are kind of where they should be.
In that 6 to 8 range.
Yeah.
Like
so
even
like,
should we
they had some shooting and some size and a bench, they can easily make that jump.
I was also
5 and
thinking
4.
like the Knicks kind of did that, right? They signed Evan Fournier and they made a couple like around the
fringes
seams,
moves.
kind of fringe moves, right?
Yeah.
But like, and DeMar's going to regress next year.
Yeah,
There's no
that's the
chance
one
he's
thing
gonna
I'm
do. That's
worried about.
right. But like, should Zach do better? Should
Possibly,
Patrick Williams
hopefully.
develop a lot more?
Right.
Did RJ? I don't think RJ Barrett really like. He got a little bit better. I think he's an All-Star this year for the first time. Can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know if it was better if it was because Julius Randle
just disappeared
back down so much that RJ Barrett. But I guess what you're saying is like if DeMar falls back a little bit, does that give Zach more room to
spread his wings,
to
take off,
spread his wings and fly?
And Nikola, he can't be this bad next year, right?
Vooch can't be this bad next year.
No, he's got to.
I don't think so.
So
come
and
back.
we're probably not going to trade him.
No, the biggest issue is the bench, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, I think you're right.
You know, Vooch, sure, there's question marks. Zach, sure, there's question marks. But I mean, 27 points a game from the bench is just not gonna. It's not gonna cut in today's NBA.
And man, if Lonzo plays 60+ games, there's no chance the Bulls are worse next year. Like he was so exciting for them, and I think I'm forgetting a little bit how good it really was.
Yeah.
Like, so
I just, I think going into next year, and we'll do preseason predictions next year and all that stuff, but I really do think best case scenario is going to be like a 6-5 seed.
Yep.
And then, but like worst case would be play in, but I don't think they're missing the playoffs.
How many games they win this year? 45?
48, 46?
46.
Something like that.
I mean, you get to 50. I think that's if they still land in a 6 seed and they win 50 games, like, I mean, that's.
Yeah, that's.
Then,
it is
I mean, think about it like Philly. Well, we should, man, there's a lot I want to get into now that I think about offseason, but like Philly.
What's going to happen with Philly?
I think they're going to regress worse than the Bulls are. Like that team is looking the way Doc was commenting on talking about his 2002-03 Magic team out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird.
Just shitting on that roster.
Weird. One last thing on the Bulls, and then we can go into playoffs and maybe get into that Doc comment. That was pretty good. Let's go ahead and give your guys' grades for the season. Joey, start with you.
A solid A, not an A-, not an A+, just a solid A.
Chris?
I was gonna say B+, but I think I'll give it an A-.
Okay. I'm with you, Joey. I'm a solid A. I think it's exactly what you needed. So, or what we were thinking.
The reason I go A- is just because I never got excited for the playoffs. I kind of knew, like,
you knew it was coming.
It was inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
they're relevant again, and after being as bad as they were for the past 4 or 5 seasons, this was exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When I was first thinking of this, I was leaning B+, but then I kind of felt the same way, like a solid, just a A. It's definitely not an A+, but it was like, all right, for what we thought. I mean, from coming off of last season, I think this was an A. If they have this season again, it's they won't be an A
then
next
it's a C.
year. But
yeah,
then it's a C. Yeah. Now you've upgraded your grades. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and move into the second round matchups that we know of. Is it official? Has Philly avoided the embarrassing Game 7?
Yeah. That game is over.
So Doc made some comments that were pretty funny going back. But you know what? I'll just say this. I was kind of cool with what he said. You know what? Context is everything. I did not know that one of those was an 8th seed.
Yeah,
he had happened. And then, like the Chris Paul thing being out.
There's a thing I saw about that where
all right.
He was like somewhere Pat Garrity is sitting in his living room. His phone's blowing up because all of a sudden Doc Rivers is talking shit about him. 20 years later, it's like, what? Could you imagine? Like,
look at that roster.
I did not ask for this. Like Daryl Armstrong is getting
that part was rough, but I did like some of the comments coming out of it. Like the picture you shared, Joey, where the comment was he's already practicing interviewing for his next job.
I just hate that coaches. Nobody likes a coach like that. That's obviously the biggest concern here, right? That like, don't throw your players under the bus. Just like be like Nick Nurse, always believe in your guys. And I don't know, man. That was. I mean, it's hard to say that. Be like Nick Nurse and not like Doc. Doc just beat him tonight, but that's more because of the talent Doc has. Doc had like the best roster in Boston.
Yeah,
with Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and Paul Pierce, and they still had to go 7 games like every single round to win the one title they won. Against Philly, who was the 7th seed. Like, talk about that one. Doc goes every game was win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. It was so weird.
Bring
And
that up,
that's a
Doc.
poorly coached team. Like, and the fact, and honestly, I do blame him for not doing better for the Clippers with Blake at the peak of
Yeah,
his
I mean-
powers, Chris Paul, JJ Redick. Like, come on, man. Like that. So
Yeah, the
No,
whole argument
Doc
about the
does,
roster,
like-
though, like you didn't have those guys for a series. Like you didn't have them, and you got 3 games. So you had to win 1 out of 4. Like, sure, the roster wasn't great, but it was good enough to get you 3 in a row. So
exactly that
you
too.
know, it was good enough to get you 1 out of 4. Like,
And the reason you blame
don't try to
Doc is
play
because he didn't make the adjustments. Obviously, they started losing because the other team made adjustments. He didn't make the counter adjustment back, and that's why they lost. But
Yeah.
at least that's armchair expert
Yeah.
view of it. So no,
Well,
kind of
and
how
it-
Doc was
dude, like,
talking, though. So I think he.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, sometimes too, like, the one in particular that really like stood out to me where I felt like he maybe had some point to raise was the 8th seed over the 1 seed, because it probably was a thing where Detroit figured him out as the season went through, and then the last 3, like was there adjustments to be made? Sure, but maybe they just weren't good enough to really adjust to the fact that they were beating a 1 seed.
That's fine. That's like
The one. I'm like,
whenever you
oh.
complain about like, oh, I can't believe they did this 5 times, then you dig into it, it's like, well, actually, 2
Yeah.
of these times weren't that bad. It's like still it happened 5 times.
Yeah, I
And
guess
you
you're
could
right.
argue for 1 or 2 of them, maybe, but like no, not all 5.
All right, well, let's get into that series. The number 1 seed, Miami, is going up against the number 4 seed 76ers. Chris, your initial thoughts on that series?
It's kind of funny because when you think about Miami, when I think about Miami, I think of them as just like a more mature version of Toronto, right? So they're that scrappy team that's hardworking, body fat all under 8%. They didn't even play Jimmy Butler in Game 5. They didn't need him or Kyle Lowry. They literally just gave him rest days in the playoffs to get them ready for the next round.
True.
And I honestly, I'd be shocked if Miami loses the series. It should be
Yes.
5 or 6 games. So
Wow.
yeah.
5-6. All right. Are we doing official picks or because
we should because the series starts Sunday.
they'll start before? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's give official picks. So, if you want to think about it, we can come back around if you want.
Let's just give some points.
Joey, your thoughts on that series?
Yeah, Chris, I like that more mature version of Toronto. That's a good take. Yeah, I feel like Miami's just better suited for this. Like, minus their little dust up they had late in the regular season, on the bench or whatever. But like, they're pretty calm, they're pretty collected, and they kind of just do their thing. I think that's a credit to their coach. I think Spo is probably one of the best coaches in the league. I think they're going to harass Harden till the till the cows come home.
Yeah.
And like, Embiid's going to do what he wants, I think, but
I mean, they still have Bam too.
That's what I was going to say. Like, but Bam's not going to make that easy on him.
But Bam.
And the Heat play physical. Like, Embiid's not going to be able to just steamroll them. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to throw bodies at Embiid, and just the way that they play, like Chris saying, like, I'd be shocked if Miami doesn't win this game in a relatively benign fashion. Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I could see like close games out of this, but I just see Miami finding a way to make it happen.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Miami should win this series. I think it'll probably go 6. But I could easily, I can be talked into a 5-game series, quick series. I'm with you, Joey. I think Harden's going to have a hell of a time in this series. They shut Trae Young down pretty good, and Harden, he ain't moving like he used to. So
he looks old.
He looks old.
It was kind of sad because usually some of his Harden moves, he would they'd be late in a shot clock and he would just kind of do his behind the back step back, and then it's not going in just because it just doesn't feel the same. It was weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. And I think Bam and not Bam, Butler and Lowry and those guys are going to hound him to death, and Bam is going to do a decent job on Embiid. So we'll see for sure. All right, moving into the next series that we know, the number 2 Boston Celtics versus the number 3 Milwaukee Bucks, who just barely squeaked out a victory against our Chicago Bulls.
16 points.
16 points.
It was better.
Dude, it was 49-20 at one point. When I saw the final, I was like,
they made a comeback.
That's nice of Milwaukee.
It's nice of Milwaukee.
Not embarrassed.
Giannis played 30 minutes. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Even when Michelle was like, why aren't they trying? Like, because they don't care. They're like, as soon as they got to 8, they would just go, all right, let's hit a couple threes and that's all right.
Yeah.
But I think this is the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you guys think? Or do you think
Yeah,
Miami?
I was thinking the same thing. Chris Middleton's
No,
out,
no Middleton. Yeah.
No Middleton.
so it should be Boston. Boston did something that didn't get the stat confirmed. People on the internet kept saying it. They did a sweep with a combined point margin of 15.
Yeah,
in the
it's
4
one of the
games.
closest sweeps.
Has to
ever.
be the
Yeah.
closest. Like there's no, like,
Yeah.
and I forgot, like, one of those games was a 360 layup by Jason Tatum to win
buzzer.
it. Like those games were close, and
Yeah.
this team has a talk about a suffocating defense. Boston's it. So I'd be but Giannis is very good. This team matches up actually extremely well, even without Chris Middleton. Bobby can make up some of that difference, but yeah, I would. Boston's probably still going to squeak this out in 6 games.
All right, Joey, your thoughts on Boston versus Milwaukee?
Yeah, I feel like Boston has the matchups for everybody but Giannis. And one of the No Dunks guys saying like Giannis is going to have Game 6 of the Finals last year every game this series for them to kind of have a chance. And there's a chance you might get it. Like it's not impossible. But I just think the onslaught of defense that the Celtics are going to throw at them is going to I think it's going to wreak havoc on them. I think we're going to see like what can happen to the Bucks when they kind of get in a game that's closer. They're not really, everything's not clicking for them. They go to Giannis running, 60 feet down the court and trying to just get in the lane. And again, it can work, but is it going to work over, a stretch of a series to get you 4 games? I don't know. I keep hearing, and it's been all over Twitter and everything. It's like, it's Giannis against the Boston's defense. Like that's really the matchup that's going to happen. So I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, but I would err on the side of Boston taking care of this one.
Man, if Middleton was playing, I would be for sure Milwaukee.
I think I would too.
But I think I'm still Milwaukee without them or without Milton. I think Giannis is the best player in the league, and I think they don't have an answer for him, and that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I mean, he's going to have to be Superman. I don't doubt that, but I think he can be. And then I think that who knows? We'll see with the defensive pressure that Boston's going to put on him. It's going to be tough for sure. But the shooting that I saw against the Bulls was pretty lights out. And if they can shoot similar to that, I know they're not going to shoot that good. They were taking a lot of practice shots against the Bulls. But if they can shoot, at an offensive, a decent clip, those guys are wide open, man. If Bobby Portis and Grayson Allen and Connaughton can space the floor, Giannis is going to have his way. And I think it's going to be enough. I really am curious to see how they defend Tatum and Brown. Obviously, I think Holiday will be on Brown a good majority of the time, but I am very curious to see if Giannis gets the pull on Tatum, especially in the fourth quarters, and if that's a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
What's the thing? Like, who's going to match up? Like, because Holiday can only guard Jalen or Jason.
Right.
He can't guard both.
He can't guard both.
Can do okay defensively, but but also there's nobody to guard Giannis, like you said. And
like Giannis is in the territory of like LeBron or Jordan for me right now, of where I'm just not betting against them, and until proven otherwise, I can easily see Boston winning the series. Though I'm not counting them out by any means, but until they beat that dude, you got to beat that guy, man. That guy's a freak.
Yeah, I don't want Boston to win this series.
I don't either. I'll be rooting hard against them.
And like I was saying, I mean, they swept Brooklyn, but all the games were close, so it's not like a commanding.
Yeah,
sweep, but
still a sweep.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, this is where I'm at. So are you guys rooting for Milwaukee, or Joey? Are you still rooting for Boston?
I think I have to root. Well, I've switched my allegiance for the rest of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I am a Heat fan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask you who you root for the other series too.
That's where I'm aligning myself with. I think I'm gonna root for Boston, and that pains me to say, but I can't give. I'm sorry for at least like another like 6 months. I need to not have Grayson Allen
All right,
be
that's fair.
somebody that I support and or Bobby Portis. I'm not there yet. I love Bobby. I want to, but I need to just it needs to.
I think I agree with you, Joey.
It needs to mellow out for a little while.
I can root for Bobby. Grayson is going to be a tough pill to swallow when if he's having a night where he's hitting 6 or 7 threes. I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, fine. But hopefully it'll be Giannis and Grayson Allen is just on the bench and he's not playing good.
That's fine.
That's what I can hope.
Want to talk about I think we got kind of like makeshift the other games. New Orleans just lost.
New Orleans just lost.
Dallas is up next.
Phoenix advances.
So Phoenix is going to advance.
Let's say hypothetically it's Phoenix Dallas, like it should, because Dallas just beat Utah like 104-77 the other night.
Yeah.
Who do you guys like in the Phoenix Dallas series? Titus.
I like Phoenix. I mean, Dallas is playing good, but they're also playing the Jazz, who are not playing good.
Who's imploding. Yeah.
Great analysis. But I don't know. I think this Dallas is playing good, but the Jazz are not playing good. No, I think Phoenix needed this tough series. I think they needed a tough series. They needed the scare. I don't think they've been playing meaningful games in a couple of months. They had the 1 seed locked up. Hopefully Booker gets back and can get back to being himself. I don't know if that's possible. But I don't know. I'm still riding with them until Dallas does otherwise too. But Joey.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be different, and I think Luka's gonna have his coming out party in this series. I
can see it.
I think the Suns have shown a little bit of weakness. Booker's back, but I mean, but Crowder has been playing like garbage. I don't know what his line was from tonight, but so far in the series, it was pretty rough. Ayton seems to kind of be taking like a back seat to the Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges show, which kind of happened last year a little bit. I mean, he had his big moments, but in terms of overall impact. So I don't know. Luka just seems primed. Like everybody at the beginning of the season, like he's the MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen. Like it's got to happen at some point. And why not it happen now? And if Brunson keeps averaging 30 points a game,
I mean,
Phoenix is going to be in trouble.
That's definitely an X factor. I want to see that Mikal Bridges Luka matchup though. I think that's going to be that's going to be good.
That'd be good.
Chris, who are you taking?
I'm with Joey. I was hoping I'd be the only one, but whatever, it's fine.
He's rubbing off on you.
There's a 3-headed monster in Dallas with Luka, Jalen, and Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench. Phoenix has Chris Paul. Booker, he's like you say, he's injured. I don't know. Is Campaign going to be that third guy? Is Ayton's not really a good third spark plug guy? Cam Johnson, sure, he can get you some buckets. Landry Shamit's on the team still, but
does Dallas have a big to kind of match up with Ayton, or can Ayton maybe eat in the series? Is this maybe the Ayton series?
Dwight Powell's there. Do they still have Boban?
Yes, they do.
They do still have Boban. Maybe they'll bring out Boban for that series. Yeah, he played one game.
Yeah, he played in garbage time the other night.
So we'll see. I still like Dallas because they're the best player in the series. Joe or Ty's kind of your argument for why Giannis over Boston.
No, I think that's fair.
And that's why I like Dallas in the finals. Really, it's because of Luka. I feel like this is the time for him. But I don't believe in Phoenix. I still don't. I'm a little surprised this went 6 games even with Booker out. Like that kind of shows like how fragile this team is without all of their players. So give me Dallas.
And then I guess we got Golden State, and we can project either team. And I'll start with this one because I don't think it matters either way. I think this is a 5-game series at most with either one of these teams, and I think Golden State would be moving on fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'll real quick. I 100% agree. It's been a fun series, Minnesota Memphis.
Yeah, it's a fun
series. The best series, the most exciting competitive series to watch as a basketball fan. But yeah, either way, they're gonna get eaten up by Golden State. This team
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Joey, you on the same page or?
Yeah, same page. I think if we do the official picks, because I'm weird and I like to support Chris, I'm gonna pick Minnesota because they're gonna win tomorrow night. That's what's gonna
Yes,
happen.
they are.
Could happen.
We're gonna
All
see
right.
Game 7.
But in reality, yeah, Golden State's gonna this might be a 4-game sweep.
Did they have an answer for
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns though? I don't know if Draymond. Draymond could probably take that.
I think-
Golden State's insane. This is so.
Well,
stupid.
it just like to me, it's both teams. Memphis have been, and Memphis in particular has been bad fouls. Minnesota with some bad fouls too, but that's not going to work.
Jaren
against-
Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
JJJ has been fouled out in every game. He's
Jesus.
averaging 6 fouls a game. First guy to ever do that.
That's a stat.
And like if my prediction comes true and Memphis goes through, I mean, Ja, who you guarding out there, bud? Because you can't do that Ole
Seriously.
defense against Steph.
Because it's gonna be Ole right back.
Yeah.
Ball's gonna be Oleing over your head.
Yep, that's not good, man. So we'll see what happens, though. I think that's going to be a fun game
I
tomorrow.
kind of just
night.
want to see Minnesota because then I'd go to a game to watch.
Oh,
Golden
that would be
State
fun.
live. They're a fun team to see live. I
Yeah,
only saw them live once.
That would be fun.
that would be fun. Now I'm actually rooting for that, so you can go see Golden State.
Right?
Are you going to the game tomorrow night?
I'm still looking at it. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be there, but I'm just gonna see where.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, we'll get a report from you live.
Make some
I'm gonna-
TikToks.
There you go.
TikToks.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about tonight, or about good here?
I think we're good.
Think
Yeah,
we're good.
man.
Me too. All right. Well, that is it for us tonight. Join us next week to talk more NBA playoffs. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at the Box Out Boys. Slide into those DMs. Yeah. Join us live Wednesdays at 8:30. I lost my place there. Send us an email to theboxoutboys@gmail.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to this at now. We very much appreciate that. Be sure to like that video on YouTube, please. And so for Chris, Joey, and Adam, I'm Titus. Until next time, box out.
I'm coming home.
Don't be sad that it's over.
I
Be
can't
happy
believe you
that it
brought it up.